state advisory, there are two separate other committees that have a general look over the different projects that are happening at the
One
national
second.
level also and at the state level also.
So their goal is to not just establish that this whatever they're acquiring this land for is welfare oriented, but also to make sure the project is being implemented in the part that they said it will be implemented in.
No, the role of expert group is just to ensure that the whatever they're saying the land is going to be acquired for, the land is going to be acquired for public purpose and public purpose only.
Do they have
And
any
that
set parameters that we can also like look into and the audience or like the citizens can also say, okay, ఇవి చూసుకొని this is how they decide if this is welfare oriented or not? Or do they just wing
I
it for every
no,
project?
I don't think it is going to be winging it. We have multiple like there have been multiple case laws right from Chiranjit Lal up until the very recent that is like as of now if we see currently in Hyderabad there is like just this month there is a case before the High Court where they are asking for land acquisition on the urgency basis in Vikarabad for some developmental project. Now it is not like they can wing it because there are series of previous
No, by
judgments that
winging
are
it, ante,
saying
is it like tailor-made to like each project? Because projects can be different, right? Some can be for infra, some can be for like public health, healthcare.
okay.
Atla.
So if that is the doubt, then definitely the act is talking about it because section 2 is talking about application and what this land can be acquired for another. There are like a lot list of long parameters in the sense projects for which this land can be acquired. If you can scroll down to section 2, Nirupama.
Yeah.
So it is talking about application and as a part of this, yeah. So this is just like a short summary, but if we look at the act, can you open the act, the enactment? Yeah, section 2. Yeah, if you see that like the list of the entirety of it is the different kinds of projects for which land can be acquired
Yeah.
for.
Projects involving
So
water processing, project for water harvesting.
Rajesh, I didn't get you.
Nothing, I'm just reading it.
Okay.
There is infrastructure, yes, which again infrastructure they have 7 different this thing.
Yeah,
And
so it's if that is the parameter you were talking about, yeah, then they specifically mention. And also, it's like imagine as of now, these are only the infrastructure projects that have happened. Then this is the list. As of now, it is the list. But what if there are, a lot more
yeah,
happening in the
something that
future?
can come up, yeah.
Yeah.
How do they go about that?
Okay, then that will
ఏదన్నా
it
ఉందా
will
అట్లాంటి
depend.
కేసులో ఇప్పుడు ఇందులో కాకుండా కొత్తగా వచ్చి దీనికోసం అక్వైర్ చేస్తున్నాం అని చెప్పి
No.
సమాధి కట్టడానికి
There are
స్టాచ్యూ కట్టడానికి
so they'll have to clearly justify public welfare గురించి అని చెప్పడం కాదు. They'll have to justify how it is public welfare which they will do. Social impact assessment లో చేసేది అదే కదా. ఏం చేస్తాము ఈ ప్రాజెక్ట్ తో మేము ఏం చేయబోతున్నాము వెన్ యూ హ్యావ్ టు సే బెనిఫిట్స్ మనం పే చేస్తున్న కాస్ట్ కన్నా ఎక్కువ ఉన్నాయని ప్రూవ్ చేయడానికి బెనిఫిట్స్ ఏముంటాయి యూ హ్యావ్ టు లిస్ట్ డౌన్ అండ్ దిస్ ఇస్ సంథింగ్ దట్ విల్ బి పబ్లిక్ ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ సో maybe as a part of notification it might seem like it is happening from a top down level but land acquisition is something where the government as a whole has to sit down with these people or communities of people and convince them mem chestunnadi edaithe undo that is for your betterment and cheppi like when we see the example of Amaravati where they pooled land, they did land pooling there.
I don't think it's I don't think it is land acquisition that they did in
Amaravatiలో when they were doing ఈ క్యాపిటల్ కట్టేటప్పుడు when they were doing they gave 3 options to the people. ఒకటి ఏంటంటే మీరు మాకు ల్యాండ్ ఇవ్వండి విల్ పూల్ ఆల్ ఆఫ్ దిస్ ల్యాండ్ అండ్ వన్స్ ద సిటీ డెవలప్ అయిపోయిన తర్వాత మేము కమర్షియల్ అండ్ రెసిడెన్షియల్ కింద విల్ ట్రై టు గివ్ పోర్షన్ ఆఫ్ ల్యాండ్ బ్యాక్ టు యూ నో కాంపెన్సేషన్ ఇది ఓన్లీ ల్యాండ్ పూలింగ్ కింద దట్ ఈస్ ద ఫస్ట్ ఆప్షన్ దే గేవ్. The second option they gave is that you give the lands to us. under the 2013 Land Acquisition Act కింద you give the lands to us అని చెప్పి they told. Excuse me. And the last option was that ante settlements negotiate cheyadaniki they tried, where if they want compensation or if they want land in exchange. So these three were the options that were there in front of the people. It was an option of the people to choose whether
So does it fall under the purview of this act? Whatever they did in Amravati?
Yeah, for people who chose they want to go ahead and consider it an acquisition, it fell under that. Then what will happen? 2013 Act kinda, whatever was there, they follow all of those rules. Compensation, entaithe compensation they'll calculate, determine, and give it off, and that is there. That is done.
These two options don't fall under the purview of this act.
No, the first and last will not. The first option is not under the Land Acquisition Act actually. It is under the Andhra Pradesh Capital Region Development Authority Act 2014 kinda. What they did was that they framed rules, land pooling rules and చెప్పి they framed these rules. They notified these rules saying, we'll develop this. You give us 10 years to develop this capital area. We'll develop this area, and once it is developed, range of ante other than just మీరు ఈ రోజు ఇచ్చిన ల్యాండ్ నేను రేపు మీకు ఇచ్చేదానికన్నా other than just that, there are also other range of benefits and support measures like annual payments for as long as, like, imagine 10 years of land I'm going to take, and in 10 years I did not give them an alternate land. I'll give them annual payments for this. So they released multiple rules as a part of this, and for people who chose, a lot of people chose, and then they went ahead and did the land pooling in this process only. Ekkadundindi anta dabbulu iyadaniki? It was 35,000 acres of land, 30,000 acres of land, 25,000 farmers, unique farmers who gave these lands. So it was like, yeah, they did what they did back then, and it was not just so a second act. Whoever chose Land Acquisition Act in the you give us the lands, I mean you give us the compensation, ikkadato chetul dulpeskundam anna vallu, yeah, there were lands that were acquired in that manner also.
I still have a doubt about the impact assessment thing.
Okay.
I was just wondering, let's say, you remember there was this Narmada Andolan back, right? When you displaced a lot of people because you wanted to build a dam and or whatever.
Yes.
So it's a fair deal, okay? Government wants to build a dam. It's for the goodwill of the people. But people who are actually settled there and who think that the land belongs to them, they are at a, I mean, they are getting displaced and they are losing out on their land. So whose benefit is a bigger benefit? Benefit of the people who are going to benefit from the dam, or the people who are getting displaced? How do you measure the benefit that they are getting and the cost that they're incurring in the whole process?
So before coming to the social impact assessment part of it, I'll tell you, Narmada Andolan was before the 2013 Act. Narmada Andolan was the stepping stone of why 2013 Act actually even came into place. There were two cases in the Supreme Court for the Narmada Andolan. Also, what happened there was that the first Narmada Andolan, I'll tell you, the project, it was not just the project that was the issue. The project was declared, and then they increased the length of the project, which actually held a lot more water. And when they opened the dams, the purview of the amount of land it will cover has increased.
Right.
So the case that went to the Supreme Court was regarding this, as in, can this be even done? Which is also one of the reasons why, they had to add resettlement and rehabilitation to the 2013 Act. So what they did was, the extra families whoever were there, they were urgently like displaced. They were like given probably meager compensation, and they were just moved away from that part. So as a part of this, because there was no, provision for resettlement, there was no provision for rehabilitation, and also because this was Sardar Sarovar Dam. Considerable amount of them probably also being the scheduled caste and, forest dwelling people. The people fought from 1985 to 1990. That is when the government made policies for resettlement and all. And then there was also the second, there was another case that went to Supreme Court, which was also the Narmada Bachao Andolan case only. So the people who were displaced, right? They gave resettlement, okay. But imagine you gave resettlement in a far off, a very remote area. So what about the electricity there? What about educational opportunities, public health opportunities there? Which
What
is
about my
where,
life being established here and them asking me to move there on
yeah,
a random Tuesday?
which is why there is also rules that came into place to ensure that when you are displacing these people, you cannot just put them in any area. There
Randomly
is a
throw me
list
away.
of facilities that are provided that must be ensured before resettling these people into a different area.
Yeah,
Also,
and do they look
this,
into if the people can afford it or not? Because let's say
yes,
Dharavi, okay?
Yeah, good
Dharavi
question.
mein there are schools nearby for the kids and all who go to the school. For
yeah,
them, those are government school ki low cost. Yeah, our bachche can go and they can study there. Now, if you relocate the people of Dharavi to like a posh area in Bombay and be like, yeah, there are schools around, they can't afford to send their kids there or they can't afford to work there also. So,
yeah,
are all these factors also considered? Or it's just
yeah.
like, okay, you need to have
So,
a school or a
yeah,
working place.
all these factors are very clearly considered. And coming to your Dharavi example, when they are procuring the lands for Dharavi, because it is a slum area, which is also surrounded by a very high value real estate. There is one other case law that we spoke to someone before, which happened in Philippines. So what they did was it was just like this. They procured few people who were living in the slums. They're taking care. You know what their predominant livelihood is? Probably working as a house help in the
Yeah.
areas surrounding and stuff like this.
Hmm.
And the Philippines government promised, we'll take your people, we'll give you like we'll displace you somewhere. We'll give you proper constructed flats and all of that. 2 BHKs we'll give you, and they displaced. And then these people lost their livelihoods. They again came back to their area because their
Hmm.
livelihood depended on the community
Oh,
that was around.
yeah. There are
Yeah.
so many. I think even in Telangana, under the KCR government, also they built these big, huge buildings that are like small 2 BHKs, 1 BHKs that are like these matchbox buildings near
Hmm.
Raitu Bazaar, where I was like, staying before.
Hmm.
But most of these people refuse to come and occupy those spaces just because they're very used to where their livelihood
Hmm.
has been already established.
And they can't even maintain those. Like, it's costly to maintain a 2 BHK apartment or whatever than, just like one street side, thoda
So
sa
yeah,
chawl or
these
whatever.
things are these things are definitely considered. Also, Rutuja, to answer your question, the
Hmm.
Dharavi example, imagine they'll declare in preliminary notification, we are procuring this area. They'll declare for what project. I'm not really sure. If it is for the purpose of urbanization, the
Hmm.
project that they are doing is for the purpose of urbanization. Out of the total area they procured, 20% of it has to be put aside for people who decide that they'll be asked, like if they decide after the urbanization is done, I want a house or I want a place in this 20% area that is saved, then 20% of the land area that is procured will be saved for these people and they'll be moved back
You're
after
telling
the project is done.
you're telling me there is an area, they take my house from that area, they construct 80% of that area, and after some time I have an option to ask I want a house in my area back
No,
again.
not after some time, right when are they are taking your land. If the
Okay.
developmental project that they are taking is for
You'll get
urbanization
promotion, right,
purpose
Upama?
Okay.
You'll
and
get promotion
urbanization
from
only.
like ground floor to 10th floor, you'll get more. You'll get a view also. Suddenly, morning you wake up, you'll be in 10th floor.
No, but the cost of land as compared to a cost of flat, let's say Dharavi. Dharavi, my land is very expensive. Side mein you have a lot of,
See,
high
Dharavi
cost
mein,
real estate.
no, right,
Rutuja,
Dharavi
I
mein, what
also
they are
want you to
doing is,
understand these
no,
are not
Dharavi,
lands owned by them.
no,
These
no,
are
Yeah,
hello,
yeah.
hello,
lands
hello,
that they
hello,
took
don't make,
possession.
hello, Aishwarya,
Yeah, but
don't make controversies now. You don't
No,
know
it
that's a
until
is,
very, very controversial statement, by the
they
way.
don't
I,
own
I just
until,
they
almost got
had,
triggered when she said the
no,
land is
my
not owned
point,
by them
see, one
after
thing,
seeing all
see,
the wise
let me
documentaries.
clear it, Rutuja. In
Hmm.
Dharavi, I think they are not relocating them to some other place. There only they're going to build like vertical structures and give like this thing. They give each family a house in that area only. So I don't think this kind of problem might exist. But during the time of construction, there'll be like a challenge, right? Let's say it takes 2, 3 years. Where will he go? Those 2, 3 years will be like a big problem. So you have to do it very like in a phased manner and all. And one more thing is that let's say 3 saal pehle somebody, now let's say some 10,000 families are living there. You'll have to register all these 10,000 families and then give them lands. Now, what if 1,000 families decide that bus ho gaya hai, let's like leave to some other state or like somewhere. Now, who will get that plot, the new one that they're building? All these challenges also will be there, but now I guess that we have to deal with it.
Also,
Yeah.
not all 10,000 families might choose that they want to stay back. They'll probably take the compensation that they're offering and, they'll go ahead. It's totally up to them when
You
they'll be
know,
offered.
yeah, I think most of the families that are there are the fishermen families, if I'm not wrong. And these are the communities which have been there forever. They have had their existence throughout. So it's not like there are some family, yeah, there are part of families who are from other states and, have shifted to the state or whatever. But most of them have had their, generations living onto that land. And in like a two, in like a small room, there's a family of, let's say, 8 people staying. So it's technically two families. So when you are building something there, are you going to give them the same? That's also a question. Are you going to give them like a same sort of an area with like one room and 8 people stay there, or is it going to be beneficial for them also that they will get maybe two apartments wherein two families can live? That's also a question, I guess.
So when they say that you are given an option to hold the land you hold, and then the proportional amount of the land you are holding today on the ground, proportional to that, I will give the land. If it is an
Mm.
urbanization project and urbanization project only, the 20% will not be reserved for other things. But imagine it is like an irrigation project. When you speak about the fishermen families and all, if it has been established clearly that the families are dependent on, the river to, fish there and then sell and make a livelihood. If it is an irrigation project, after it is built, these families will still be given they'll still hold the right to go and still continue fishing in the projects, in the hydra projects, and, continue with their livelihood.
Yeah, I mean, of course, it's a sea who can stop people from going there. But
No,
yeah.
it's an irrigation project. It's not on the sea. It's not about the sea. Imagine there is like a dam
Ah,
they built.
okay, okay. We're talking about it. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For projects like that. Oh, coming to Dharavi, no, I'm not sure the purpose for which they are procuring the Dharavi land. I know the land is being procured, but I'm not really sure if it is for urbanization purpose or not. And the 20% will stay put if it is for the urbanization purpose.
Okay.
Urbanization can also include beautification and all, right?
Yes.
You just want to beautify it.
Yes. Mm, where did we came
Application
under?
of the Act, Section 2.
Yeah, application. Yeah. So if you're talking about the kind of projects the land can be acquired for, then it has been very clearly mentioned as to what kind of projects can land be acquired, and so on and so forth. So do we have any questions?
I think we were asking the questions on the go.
Okay.
I think we can cover one more section.
Section wise. Okay. Mm, there are maybe,
Satik has left the call because he had another call to take, and initially we have asked this time until 4 p.m.
He's a busy man.
Prakash,
He
you
might
have any
join.
question
Hi,
Yeah, yeah.
till
Keith.
So
now?
can you tell me about how the compensation is calculated?
Yeah. So compensation is discussed under how compensation will be calculated is the collector is the person who's responsible to see how much will be given as a compensation, and how we will calculate the market value, and how to come to conclusion about the market value is directly discussed as a part of the act, where it is either specified under the Stamps Act while a registration is going to be taken place. If the minimum land value is specified, then that will be considered as the value. And in case if not, then the value of land in the surrounding areas, average value of land in the surrounding areas, considering the three preceding years, the average value of land. They'll take the average of the similar kind of land in the three preceding years, and then they'll decide that as the market value. So the the first schedule talks about how this can be done. If it is urban area, then the value will be multiplied with one factor, which is that the market value will be the compensation. Along with, now this will be the compensation just for the land. This, in addition to, if there is any structure on the land. Now the structure can involve a building, or it can be, it's probably a shed, or it can also discuss about crops, standing crop on that. So compensation of that
So
will
are
be
there
added.
so can I ask for like 2x, 3x of the government land value there?
So the multiplying factor is only under the act is only discussed as into a factor of 1, and if it is a rural area, you can do it into a factor of 2.
Guys, I'm so sorry, but can you just repeat the last point once again?
Yeah. So for depending on
I was asking her,
Hmm.
now there will be a government value of that land, right? When they're
Yeah.
acquiring.
Yeah.
Let's say 1 lakh rupees is the government value. I
Hmm.
was asking if I can negotiate for a 2x value or a 3x value of that land as compensation. So she was
Okay.
I
saying,
shared the screen. See. So depending on the distance from the urban area, the
okay,
multiplying factor will change. If it is totally rural area, which is 50 kilometers away from urban area, then they'll twice the market value, and then they'll give it as the base compensation
okay,
along with the
so
structures and everything.
are there any cases where even in urban areas they gave 2x, 3x value?
I did not read the compensation values as part of
Okay.
cases. I'm not
So
sure
are there
of
any case laws that we can discuss?
yeah. So coming to, if we're talking about major case laws, we have multiple. There is one that is recently taken up in the court, which is, about the Vikarabad. They are planning on acquiring the land in Vikarabad, and they're saying it is very urgent. So recently,
Highly
the High
urgent.
Court said,
Chala
uh,
urgent. Urgency,
Urgent.
I'm not understanding.
Urgent, it is
I'm
just
very
urgent.
scared of this urgency.
that too, they said it is urgent and
National
to
emergency.
develop a
National
multi-purpose
emergency.
industrial park.
Oh,
That
it's
must
very
be
urgent.
very, very urgent then.
How's
It might be
industrial
very
park
urgent.
urgent?
Urgent,
Yeah.
that's what. Tomorrow they'll say we have to put a Palaputta cycling park here. Very urgent. We need your house. Okay.
So it is still the court as of now, until
Hmm.
now, it gave an interim order saying that local farmers, residents, చాలా మంది they complained. ఏమంటే
Hmm.
వీళ్ళు ఇలా వస్తున్నారు urgent, and if it is urgent, then the social impact assessment and all will take time. So basically why they do that is to forego that process and directly go into talking settlement and all of that.
Wait.
So
So if there's an urgency, you're telling me social impact assessment will not take that much time, or they'll not do it.
no, it will
They'll
not,
not
they'll
do it
not
at
do
all.
it.
Bro,
Yeah,
Oh,
and they'll
what
not
is
even
this
take
very
consent.
contradicting point? The
Yeah,
whole
the
point is they
consent
have to
part
do no.
also.
What if my land is
Exactly.
there tomorrow and they'll tell it's urgent and they'll not even do social impact for me assessment?
very
That's
urgent
the
is a
whole
shift
point.
from ground floor to 10th floor.
Don't worry,
What?
Nirupama. The courts are there for a reason. They'll
You're
not do
telling me
anything.
don't hurry in our
How can
country.
you?
Nirupama will be sleeping nicely on her bed. The bed will be shifted just like that simply.
The bed will be
Originally,
there on
Better
the
view,
road
I guess.
when I wake up. Yeah, with the view.
no, she'll
Yeah.
just like wake up and be in some other house. Then they'll tell her, you have been rehabilitated.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but that's the whole point, right? Again, whose benefit do you consider? The people staying there or the people for whom the project has been built or whatever?
Eminent domain.
I mean, I
That's
don't
it.
mind. I don't
No.
mind that we're
I'm
doing
the
social
sovereign.
impact assessment.
It's my interest.
But just with this whole
Yeah.
urgency clause, the fact that they'll not do assessment is a little concerning. Also, I had one more doubt. I mean, I
No,
know you're
they
not
added
familiar with
it.
case
They
law.
can't do it. It is not a reason, which is why we are so clearly laughing, because They added it as a part of act. When it is an act, there is nothing a court can do.
So
The court
that
will do
act
this
it is
only.
there. So in the
Yes, it is
2000
there.
Act, it's there that sometimes urgency will consider.
No, only if it is a natural disaster. అమ్మ నాయన పక్కన ఎవడో మునిగిపోతున్నాడు నీ ఇంటి మేడ మీదకి ఒకడిని ఎక్కనివ్వవంటే దట్ ఈస్ urgency. In
Okay,
those
but
cases,
so this
పట్టించుకోరు.
Vikarabad thing is not an urgent this
No,
thing, no? Okay.
the interim order very clearly said ఇట్లా మీరు చాలా షేడీగా చేస్తున్నారు and they still adjourned it to April 21st for further proceedings ఉన్నాయి. Which is why we should not talk about it. It will be contempt of
It will
court.
be very interesting to
That is
actually
it.
follow up on this case.
Actually, I did
Yeah.
not talk about anything. Only Nirupama is talking and criticizing it, asking again and again if it is urgent. It might be very urgent for her. I have all the time in the world. You can, yeah.
So yeah, as of now ఇప్పుడైతే పక్కన పెట్టండి అంత అర్జెన్సీ ఏం లేదని చెప్పారు.
Okay, guys, I'm
But
also requesting to the public for this call.
if we are just like silly people and we have doubts and we ask,
We are
then
silly
is it
people and we
still-
have doubts.
Yeah, is
So
it still
that is our
contempt of
problem.
court? Yeah.
If we do it just within the four walls of a room,
Rutuja?
even
Rutuja?
when we used to be in law school.
Rutuja,
Yeah.
have you ever heard of this saying called mazak mein razak mar gaya?
Mama!
That's very Hyderabadi. I've
That
not
is
heard.
literally
So
us.
this is exactly the situation where mazak mein razak mar gaya.
Thank God Rituja
Who's
is
the
in Bangalore.
Razak? Yeah.
We all are razaks.
Yeah,
Mazak
tomorrow
mein
I'll be Fasak.
yeah, you might be contempt.
Yeah.
Doing contempt. So yeah,
Yeah.
Aishwarya, so let's go to the case laws now.
Yeah. So this is one case that is still happening. We'll see how the court will go
Progress.
ahead with this.
It'll
But
actually
the
be very
one that
interesting
is
to follow up. Yeah.
So the one case that is it's the case called Suraram Reddy versus Collector of Rangareddy District, 2008 case law. And ఈ case, let us discuss it because it is done entirely, start to end.
How
Case
many years did
High
it
Court
take?
still in start to end 3 years maybe.
Oh, okay,
The
not
case
bad.
was the project was no, not two. Project was declared in 2002. I don't remember when the case was filed, but it was decided in 2008.
Oh, okay. Good 6 years.
Not
Not bad, yeah.
Can,
So
6 years you are telling not bad. Must వదిలేండి మళ్ళీ మజాక్
Human
రజాక్
being has
I
to
will
have
become.
patience.
Yes.
It's your fundamental duty.
To have patience.
To have
Yes.
patience.
Have patience to respect the sovereign.
Yeah. Law of the
justice
land.
system.
I'm just
And-
playing the
Yeah.
devil's advocate, guys.
And
Don't mind
exercise
me.
your Article 32. The right given under Article 32.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's expected
So
from you
The
as a
patience.
citizen of this country.
Do we have any freedom of speech here?
Yeah, you do.
we do. As
Or
long
are we
as
the
Oh,
next
I
when
was
they
just
As
seeing
long
allow
as it
yesterday an
does not
article.
hurt the sentiments or
Yesterday,
the
JP
other
sir was
people.
telling how he
Huh?
really likes and how he really appreciates that our country does not like let there be absolute freedom of speech. In fact, and I
Yes.
actually agree with this point
Who
because
Yeah.
said?
JP sir was telling it yesterday,
Ah,
and he told it in a very fair sense in context also. But that's a discussion for another time.
Yeah.
How absolute freedom of speech can also be like very
Yeah.
volatile.
And an absolute
I
freedom
don't
is
agree
a
with it one bit.
I actually very
I
much
thought-
agree with it.
I thought
I
I'll
mean,
tell
there is
him
nothing
then only.
absolute, so like it's like useless
yeah,
to
nothing is
discuss.
Absolute is
absolute.
only an
And if you're
What is
having an
absolute then?
absolute
Yeah.
and if you're having an absolute freedom, you're actually restraining somebody else's freedom to do
Yes.
something.
Yes,
So
and
you
I
can't
actually read up after coming back and I have a lot of context, but this is again for another discussion. Okay, please go on
Yes.
with your case law. So sorry
Yeah.
for interrupting this.
So this Suraram Reddy versus Collector Rangareddy District, it was for back when Unified Andhra Pradesh ఉండేటప్పుడు it was for APIIC అని ఒక దాని కోసం, it is for Andhra Pradesh Industrial Infrastructure Corporation. So for this purpose, they said they gave a notification in 2002 saying we want lands, financial district. And lead projects are
okay.
చుట్టుపక్కల area. Yeah, it was, which is why it's like, yeah, concern. So for the financial district is దీనికోసం అని చెప్పి land acquire చేస్తామని they gave a notification. And so the people who were contending, case file చేసిన వాళ్ళు, they went to High Court also. Let us discuss what happened in the Supreme Court. I'll give a context of what happened in the High Court and all. So in High Court, what they said is that will urgency, so they're asking, saying it is urgent under urgency provision. See, I wanted to keep in mind the context. This is 2008, which is before the current legislation
Okay.
came into place. So then urgency clause was working. Ante appadiki inka nadustunnadi. If the court did not say, then it would have happened. So they said urgency clause, urgency clause kinda, section 17 kinda, they went saying maku urgency undi, we'll procure lands very fast and let us finish up with the process. And the people said, no, this cannot happen. And there are multiple issues that people raised. So there are two major issues, legal aspects that we have to discuss here. The first is that part 7 of the act, part 2 of the act ఏం చెప్తాదంటే, if it is a government project, land acquisition government చేస్తుంది, and the process should be followed under part 2 is a little lenient. And then part 7 of the old act is talking about బయట నుంచి ఒక ఏదైనా foreign company వచ్చి, if they are establishing something here, then the way they handle with acquiring land will be very different. So the part 7 కింద ఎట్లా అంటే, you just have to talk to every single farmer or participant, convince them, sit, negotiate with them, and sign individual contracts with all of them. This is the part 7. Part 2 of the act ఏంటి, గవర్నమెంట్ ల్యాండ్ ప్రొక్యూర్ చేస్తుంది ఫర్ అండ్ తీసుకెళ్లి ప్రైవేట్ వాళ్ళ చేతిలో పెడుతుంది. దిస్ ఇస్ ద ప్రాసెస్. వీళ్ళు ఏం చేశారు, ఏపీఐఐసి కింద దే వెంట్ అండర్ part 2, సేయింగ్ దిస్ ఇస్ ఫర్ పబ్లిక్ గుడ్, ల్యాండ్ గవర్నమెంట్ ప్రొక్యూర్ చేస్తుంది, ప్రాజెక్ట్ టేకప్ చేసేది ప్రైవేట్ ఎంటిటీ. It has been clear, the private entity will take up the project, but it is doing for public good.
So the government is
Saying,
acquiring this.
Acquiring this because మేము ఎంప్లాయ్మెంట్ ఇస్తాము, రోడ్లు ఇస్తాము, ఇన్ఫ్రాస్ట్రక్చర్ పెంచుతాము, ఇవన్నీ చేస్తాము. సో ఇది పబ్లిక్
Got
గుడ్
it.
గురించి అని చెప్పి దిస్ ఇస్ ద రీజన్. సో ద పీపుల్ హూ కంటెండెడ్ ఆర్ దట్, ఒకటి మీరు టెండర్స్ ఆప్షన్స్ సరిగ్గా వేయలేదు అండ్ మీరు part 7 కింద రావట్లేదు, part 2 కింద మీరు ప్రొక్యూర్ చేస్తున్నారు, ఇది అసలు పబ్లిక్ గుడ్ గురించి అని మేము ఒప్పుకోము, ఇది మీరు జస్ట్ మా దగ్గర ల్యాండ్స్ తీసుకొని ప్రైవేట్ ఎంటిటీస్ కి అమ్మడానికి మీరు చూస్తున్నారు అని చెప్పి దిస్ పీపుల్ కంటెండెడ్.
Was it
And
one
the
person who contended or was it a group of people?
No, it was a group of.
Oh, okay.
But the Suraram
Interesting.
Reddy, he was the one. So his case was the one that was taken up and
Sunset district, you take away his land. Why will he sit quiet saying
Yeah.
everything market value?
That is very interesting, Findi.
Yeah, sorry, can you explain again, thoda sa English mein, quickly, in once again, what did he contain? I did not get it.
Yeah.
oh, okay. So whether the land acquisition process, the contention of the person is that they are saying it is for public purpose, but I do not believe it is for public purpose. They are just
Okay.
procuring land. The government is helping the private company procure land from me and is just, letting them get away with the project.
So
That
was
is
it a
what his first-
public-private partnership? Was it a public-private partnership project?
Yes, it was. So
Okay.
it was. I don't know if it was. So the reason why it was not very clearly specified is because the percentage for consent required for public, private, and private came in 2013
Okay.
as to 70% consent, 80%. It was not there before. So the case has specified the government is procuring for development of financial district, and the project will be taken up by a private entity.
Right.
And
But
the
if the
second
private
issue,
entity, no, but
sorry.
if the private
Guys, I'm so
entity,
sorry. Can somebody let Satvik in? He wants to join back on the call. He's asking to be admitted. I think it's an open link, no?
IIT class అంతా అయిపోయిన తర్వాత ఇప్పుడు వస్తే
I guess it is.
I think he's joining.
Admitted. Okay. Yeah. By the way, Rutuja, this is the financial district land. The
Oh, the
Findi.
one we were talking.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, yeah.
So with that in context.
Okay, cool.
Rutuja,
Oh,
you were
isn't
saying
it like-
something.
Yeah,
couldn't
I
get
think I read somewhere that Google is apparently building something there or something. The second largest office or something.
Yeah,
many that
they
are
are
coming
doing.
up actually,
Yeah,
not just
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
that land
they're
ఉంది.
doing.
Yeah, so the question was, if it's a public-private partnership and the private entity has already, accepted the tender or whatever, then I mean, how is he questioning if it's if government is just helping him as a private company to just take over the land or something?
Yes, I think she's saying that they went to tender under a different section, while they should have claimed it under another section or something like that, correct?
Yeah,
Right?
2 and
The
7.
pro
So
so if
he
it
was fighting on the right of the law, as in if it is legally valid to go under that section
Under
by
the
the
other
government.
section.
Yeah,
Okay.
because maybe it would have been easier for them to like claim it under another section to acquire that
Mhm.
land. But ideally,
Mhm.
maybe it should have fallen under section 7.
Okay.
Satvik,
so
welcome back.
I missed a lot అనుకుంటా, but it's fine, I'll catch up.
అబ్బా ఏంట్రా ఐఐటి స్టూడెంట్ అను
ఐఐటి చదవాలా? catch up అవుతాను. What's up?
Actually, it's not very
సో
interesting.
ఈ గూగుల్ క్యాంపస్ కడుతున్నారు కదరా, ఆ ల్యాండ్ గురించి చెప్తుంది. ఒక కేసు అయిందంట దాని మీద, అది అక్వజిషన్ చేసేటప్పుడు. గవర్నమెంట్ అక్వైర్ చేసి ఇచ్చిందా ఐశ్వర్య ఆ ల్యాండ్?
so I don't know if this Google campus is
Okay.
a part of that land
So
or
we are
not.
assuming that it is that.
మజాక్
But
మే రజాక్ ఇది మళ్ళీ
it might be wrong
అదే
also. Yes.
మళ్ళీ
మనం
మీరు అదే
జస్ట్ కాల్
చేస్తున్నారు.
పెట్టి గూగుల్ మైక్రోసాఫ్ట్ వీటి గురించే మాట్లాడి
మళ్ళీ
కొత్త
like,
కేసెస్.
I don't want to comment to anything. I got into a lot of
టాప్ ఆఫ్
trouble
ఇట్
already.
స్లైవ్ ఆల్సో ఎడిట్ లో తీసేలేదు.
Yeah.
No, it's just 40% surety. It's not more than that.
Yeah. We just read it
Some
somewhere.
land,
Yeah.
some random land, Satvik, in financial issue. There's a
In-
case
అంటే
that
who's
she's
filing it? So some private player
somebody
they are
filed,
not going
so
to give you.
already over. Somebody
Okay.
filed it. There's a judgment already given. So government wanted to acquire some land. Then this party had gone to court, so claiming that they should have acquired it under another section of the act, but they claimed some other section, right, Aishwarya?
Yeah, but he's also saying that the reason మీరు పబ్లిక్ పర్పస్ పబ్లిక్ గుడ్ గురించి అని మీరు అన్నారు, I don't think it is for public purpose. And he also claimed that colorable exercise of power అని. సో మీరు చెప్తున్న రీజన్ ఒకటి, you're colorably saying it is for public purpose, but you acquired for something else.
How is Google? Okay, yeah, but I get it later.
I was just about to ask, how is that public good? I mean, in a very long
Google
chain of.
It is not
Sorry,
about
sir.
that. It's about like that.
Providing
tested-
employment, I guess.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are multiple
అంటే అన్న,
reasons for why they
Pratyush
can.
అన్న. Sorry, go ahead.
No, Satvik, it's.
And for example, the other day when I was listening to the podcast also, it is about land allotment also, no? So when they're taking land for a private player, which is for the good of nation, how does that fall under? Like, because I think so that project also is stopped because of not land allotment leke kada. Is
Well-
Pratyush there? Or he's stuck?
I think government will not acquire land for a private entity until and unless it's a partnership. So if it's a
Yeah.
contract that a private entity is actually helping government do their work. Let's say government wants to build a bridge and a private entity is actually building it for them. Then that's a public-private partnership and then that's a contract. Only then the government can acquire land. Government can't be like, okay, oh, Google wants to build an office there, let me acquire land and give it to them. That's not
So
happening.
okay, I mean,
Also, yeah, and if you're coming to the new legislation, then imagine, Rutuja, like there have been a lot of discussions about how, during the previous Chandrababu Naidu government, they brought Kia and all these projects to Andhra Pradesh. Now, when they're trying to convince these projects to come to Andhra Pradesh, also when you talk about gift city or something, so these people have to the government will promise certain things, like you come to my SEZ, I'll reduce your tariffs on the electricity, on the water bill, or when ISB happened, the chairman of ISB has been very vocal about how Chandrababu Naidu helped in, procuring the land for ISB. So the act is clearly also talking about government procuring land for private projects also, because that is how the governments convince these, huge entities to come and set up their investment. Because they believe that this will create a lot of employment opportunities. This will also build infrastructure around, and these big entities will also give a lot of opportunities for small entrepreneurs to work their way up. So there has also been quite little discussion about just government procuring property for private entities.
But isn't it like a lot of red taping involved in this process if the government is taking decisions for private? Because if it's coming
Obviously,
from a
I'm listening.
government side of it, like a private entity, like is there a scope of red taping? Is it? Have you seen it? Like, no, how are
It
we?
actually happens more if there is, imagine you're letting a private entity, you give a project for private entity, and let us just presume, and they are responsible for procuring the land. Then the whatever committees and all we are putting to ensure there is fair compensation, if especially these people are, not very strong by themselves, there is a very huge chance that these people will use physical force with rowdies or police officers, with all of this to probably procure the lands. Even after the whole thing in Amaravati, they are still saying, people of few villages are saying, the government has put police officers all around, which scared the farmers to sign on these documents and all of that. So that is probably the reason why the government thought, let us take responsibility of fair compensation, and then you can take the project further ahead.
Right.
This is tricky.
So
I
yeah,
want to
so can
refrain
we
from
go
that.
ahead with the case?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the appellants who went to the court with this Suraram Reddy case, so the appellants claimed that one, they used a colorable exercise of power and they are procuring land without there is we believe that there is no public good in whatever they are doing is the first contention. Second is that the land is clearly acquired for a private foreign company, and they are only doing this just for the sake of putting the power in the hands of the private company is their second contention. And whatever is land acquired, it is not under the power of eminent domain. That was their second contention. You did it because it is easier for you. You did it under Part 7. I mean, Part 7 has to be followed, but you did it under Part 2 because it is easier. But you cannot do it because putting land in the hands of private property will not come under the concept of eminent domain. And the third contention was that apparently there was a huge area of land that belonged to this actress Vijay Nirmala then. And so their contention was that ఈ ఎవరైతే ఫేమస్ పీపుల్ ఉన్నారో వీళ్ళ ల్యాండ్స్ అన్ని మీరు తప్పించేశారు ప్రాజెక్ట్ నుంచి. మా ల్యాండ్లెస్ వెరీ పువర్ మార్జినల్ కమ్యూనిటీ స్మాల్ ఫార్మర్స్ ఎవరైతే ఉన్నారో హూజ్ లైవ్లీహుడ్స్ ఆర్ డిపెండింగ్ ఆన్ ద ల్యాండ్, వాళ్ళ ల్యాండ్స్ మాత్రమే ప్రొక్యూర్ చేశారు, కన్వీనియంట్ గా మీకు నచ్చని వాళ్ళ పేర్లు తీసేశారు అని. సో that is one other contention. And there was obviously the contention about urgency clause under Section 17 that you are, saying it is urgent and claiming. So these are the appellant's contentions. Now the respondents will be the government. So what they are saying is that you are claiming that this is, there are very small farmers who are handling all this land. అది అసలు కేసు కాదు, బికాస్ వీళ్ళందరూ పర్మిషన్ లేకుండా వీటిని హౌసింగ్ ప్లాట్స్ కింద మార్చేసి దే సోల్డ్ దెమ్ టు బిల్డర్స్, డెవలప్మెంటల్ ప్రాజెక్ట్స్ వాటన్నింటికి మార్చేశారు. సో ద రీజన్ దట్ యుర్ క్లెయిమింగ్ దట్ ద ల్యాండ్ ఇస్ బీయింగ్ టేకెన్ అవే ఫ్రమ్ స్మాల్ ఫార్మర్స్ ఇస్ నాట్ ద కేస్. ఆల్సో ద సెకండ్ కంటెన్షన్ ఇస్ దట్ ఏపీఐఐసి ఏదైతే ఉందో it is instrumentality of the state, and entire amount of compensation idantha edaithe jarugutundo it is going to come from APIIC, and hence it is not contrary to law. Public purpose kosame chestunnamo. Our intention is very clear. We want it here, we want the project here, so it will create employment opportunities and infrastructure development in this area. This is their second contention. Now when it went before the court gave what the court observed was that these farmers emaithe claim chesaro that this was land of small marginal farmers, these farmers were not actually cultivating the lands. It is owned by them, but it is not being cultivated, and their considerable amount of them are also converted into residential property and all of that. So if that is the reason you are saying, then you don't have proof to show that వీళ్ళు అగ్రికల్చర్ చేస్తున్నారని అని ఒకటి అబ్జర్వ్ చేసింది కోర్ట్ ఇన్ ఇట్స్ అబ్జర్వేషన్స్. అండ్ The second is that urgency clause ఏదైతే ఇన్వోక్ చేశారో that is wrong. It held. You cannot use the urgency clause to procure this land. So whatever you, which is the principle held by High Court. సో హైకోర్టులో మీరు హైకోర్టు ఏమైతే చెప్పిందో అర్జెన్సీ క్లాజ్ ఇన్వోక్ చేయకూడదని అంతవరకు కరెక్టే అని చెప్పింది. దెన్ కమింగ్ టు
బేసికలీ లైక్ అక్కడ నాకు ఇల్లు ఉంది కానీ ఇంట్లో నేను లేను కాబట్టి నా ఇల్లు లేపేశారు. సంథింగ్ లైక్ దాట్. If the agriculture land is there, but like the farm, it's like, yeah, it's cultivable, but they're not practicing it there. That's like one of the reasons why this respondents also told that it's a reason to like factor to take it away. It's rightful.
Yeah. So it's not saying it is rightful. All it is saying is whatever your claim is, and you're contending that it is these people who are getting impacted, they are not the people that are getting impacted. అంటే మీరు చెప్తున్నంత మార్జినలైజ్ లా లేరండి, వాళ్ళ ఇల్లులో అవి
Bro,
convert చేసుకొని
how is this?
అమ్ముకుంటున్నారని.
I mean, I'm just not able to make peace with this. I can't help but feel like. Okay, go on.
So yeah, the government observed this as a part of its observations, and final గా ఏం చెప్పిందంటే urgency clause కింద it cannot be the land cannot be acquired, but the purpose for which the land is acquired, which is APIIC. So you cannot see it as, అంటే the court very clearly define how ఎలా అంటే land acquisition government చేస్తుంది, కానీ development is going to be put in the hands of private entity. Just because it is like this, you cannot differentiate both of them and hold that half of this is public, half of this is private, half of this is benefiting the public, half of this is benefiting the private end. So the court held that do not split them into different components and then see whether it is for public good or not. Not every aspect of it has to be for public good. If the project as a whole proves that it is for the betterment of public, then it is enough holistically.
Satvik has a question. I can see his hand.
Yeah, Satvik, I just saw. Yeah.
Oh my God.
I have recently seen like this entire the concept of Hydra, and they have been like demolishing buildings. Does it violate the fundamental? I mean, it's not a fundamental right, but it's a legal right. I mean, on what public good can they? I mean, did this act has anything to do with that?
Land acquisition, they're not doing land acquisition. They're claiming what is theirs. Government is there. Land acquisition means you're acquiring
what is illegally
somebody
acquired in
else.
the first place.
Yeah, no.
Claiming back.
Land acquisition law, you're acquiring something which is others' land, which is owned by somebody else. You're acquiring that. Right. Here, they are acquiring what is theirs. It's an asset protection agency set up by the government. What assets are they going to protect? The assets of the government.
So, okay, it is
Lakes,
not land acquisition basically.
Lakes, parks, government lands, okay, which are actually owned by the government, which have been encroached upon due to various reasons that they are acquiring.
Nothing to do with this act.
Nothing to. I don't think it comes under the scope of this act anywhere.
It doesn't come under this act actually, Satvik. Adi, so yeah, it was their basic that what do you say, full tank area and buffer zone. Water bodies ki they declared it then. The reason they're demolishing them is because అవి అక్కడ ఉండడం safe కాదు.
Okay, got it.
Because it will be responsibility of the government in case there is a future natural calamity unte, because these are very vulnerable zones. In case anything happens, these will be first affected, and then government will be responsible.
Ingoti a lake ante enti? What is a lake or a tank? The water, whatever water is the catchment area under. Whatever water is falling onto the catchment area, all that water is coming and going into that, right? It will go into that water body. So let's say you occupy the entire water body. Where will that water go? Can't go anywhere. That will start going into the houses of people. It will start to damage the public infrastructure and private infrastructure, everything. And let's say there is a huge rainfall someday, then it will turn into a natural calamity also, right? సో ఐడియల్లీ పబ్లిక్ గుడ్ కోసమే చేస్తున్నారు, కానీ ఇట్ డస్ నాట్ ఫాల్ అండర్ దిస్
Understood. Yes.
యాక్ట్.
Yeah.
ఇప్పుడు యాక్చువల్లీ లైవ్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ దట్ ఐ సా ఇన్ మై లైఫ్ ఇస్, మన ఆఫీస్ ముందర ఒక చిన్న ట్యాంక్ ఉంది. ట్యాంక్ అంటే ఒక చిన్న లేక్. అది దాంట్లో ఇట్స్ లైక్ a rainy season, all the water in that area comes and drains into that
Accumulates.
water body actually. Then it becomes like a lake. But during summer and all, because it's a small lake, very small lake, there's no water. Okay, we've seen it through the 2-3 rainy seasons. Now we know that water comes and gets like stored there. Now what happened, because the land prices are very high there, slowly people started to dump like debris there and start to like slowly encroach into that. ఇప్పుడు హాఫే ఉంది తెలుసా అది. అసలే చిన్నదంటే ఇప్పుడు సగం ఉంది, ఇంకా సగం కూడా పోయింది అనుకో, అక్కడ అపార్ట్మెంట్స్ బిల్డింగ్స్ కడతారు. ఇప్పుడు అది కట్టినప్పుడు న్యాచురల్లీ స్లోప్ అయితే మార్చలేవు కదా మొత్తం ఏరియాది, ఆ కాలనీ మొత్తం స్లోప్ అయితే మార్చలేవు. సో వాటర్ అంతా వచ్చి అక్కడే ఆగుతుంది. నెక్స్ట్ పెద్ద వర్షం పడితే ఫ్లడ్ అయిపోతుంది ఆ ఏరియా.
Crazy.
So actually Hydra came and put boards, now they're like redoing that tank. By the way, తెలుసా సార్?
No, మన ఆఫీస్ ఆపోజిట్.
Yeah. బ్యానర్స్ కట్టారు మొత్తం. మా అసోసియేషన్ వాళ్ళు వెళ్ళి కంప్లైంట్ చేస్తే దే ఆర్ రీబిల్డింగ్ దట్ ట్యాంక్.
Nice. But yeah, I get it. Like, even though it is not, it's interesting that even that was like a very hot
In the
topic.
long term, it is very beneficial if somebody like that is there, where people know that okay, you can't like encroach whatever you want.
And no, really, I had one more question related to this. Like, they say whenever government is acquiring land, it acquires in land like market rate, or like, it's very, very less than what
Government
now
rate.
market rate is.
Yes,
So,
government
is
rate
it sheer
అంటారు.
bad luck, or can they do anything about it?
Yeah, so how they calculate అనేది market value is they'll look at the stamp act, స్టాంప్స్ యాక్ట్ చూసి రిజిస్ట్రేషన్ చేసుకున్నప్పుడు అందులో మనం ఎంత ప్రాపర్టీ వాల్యూ రాసి ఎంత ట్యాక్స్ కడితే అంత వాల్యూనే మార్కెట్ వాల్యూ కింద కన్సిడర్ చేస్తుంది.
అంటే ఇప్పుడు ఐడియల్లీ లాసే రా, ఏం చేయలేము. అంటే
Because
అంటే
there is no
ఇప్పుడు మా
universal
ఏరియాలో మన
formula.
ఆఫీస్ దగ్గర ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ది స్క్వేర్ యార్డ్ ఇస్ లైక్ 2 lakhs now.
Which is fixated by demand and supply, not by any body.
That is fixed by demand and supply. The last previous transaction ఎంత అవుతుందో అంత ఫిక్స్ అవుతుంది. Now the government rate there is I think 18,000.
18,000 అమ్మని అమ్మ.
100 yards is like 2 crores. So let's say 100 yards if they acquire, market value it is 2 crores. Compensation of government land prakaram is 18 lakhs you'll get.
This is unfair కదా.
It's unfair. You have right to go to court.
Why?
That's it.
But if I
Why
go to
is it
court,
unfair?
why is it unfair?
Unfair అంటే ఫైనాన్షియల్ లాస్ కదా వాడికి.
మరి ట్యాక్స్ కట్టారా మరి దాని మీద?
ఏం
అంత
tax?
ల్యాండ్ ఎంజాయ్
It
చేసినప్పుడు
is not about
ఇప్పుడు
tax.
3
It is
కోట్ల
about
ప్రాపర్టీ.
కాదు,
no.
ట్యాక్స్
See,
ఏంటి నాకు అర్థం అవ్వలేదు.
in
1 minute.
stamp
ట్యాక్స్
duty,
ఏంటి?
yeah, they might.
ఒక నిమిషం ఆగు. ట్యాక్స్ ఏంటి ఐశ్వర్యం?
ఇప్పుడు ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ యూ హ్యావ్ ప్రాపర్టీ నౌ మార్కెట్ వాల్యూ ఎంత అయితే ఉందో దట్ వి రైట్ ఆన్ దట్ ప్రాపర్టీ 7% కదా మనం రిజిస్ట్రేషన్ డ్యూటీ అండ్ స్టాంప్
కాదు,
డ్యూటీ
22% క్యాపిటల్ గెయిన్ కడతాడు. ఏమవుతుంది? ఇస్తారా? 40 lakhs ఓట్టుకుంటాడు. పోనీ 18 lakhs 2 crores ఉన్నప్పుడు లెట్స్ సే he'll take it, let him transact at 2 crore, right? Then he'll
Yeah,
pay
if they do it,
20%.
yeah, if they do it,
At
then
least he'll
the
get 1.6
compensation
crore,
will come.
no?
If we are like if we are writing మన ఏదైతే ట్రాన్సాక్షన్ డీడ్ లో ఉందో రైట్ వాల్యూనే రాసి.
నేను ఏమంటున్నా, now okay, let's say it comes to that point, he will transact in white and he will write on the sale deed saying 2 crores and then he'll let him pay 22% whatever is the capital gain tax. కడతాడు. ఏం రా, 18 lakhs వచ్చే దగ్గర 1.6 crore వస్తుంది అంటే 40 lakhs ట్యాక్స్ కట్టడానికి ఏం ప్రాబ్లం లేదు కదా.
బేసిక్ మాది. బట్ మై పాయింట్
ఆనందంగా కడతాడు.
My point
No,
is
if that will happen, then మీరు ఎంత like on the value of which you are paying the stamp, that much only you will get in compensation. If you declare it like that only. ఆ వాల్యూ అంతే ఉందనుకోండి ల్యాండ్ వాల్యూ, కాంపెన్సేషన్ అంతే వస్తుంది.
How will you declare? అట్లా అంటే అట్లా డిక్లేర్ చేయగలిగితే నిరుపమాతో మాట్లాడుకుని ఒక 5 crores రాయి సేల్ డీడ్ మీద అని చెప్తాడు. అప్పుడు ఇస్తుందా గవర్నమెంట్ 5 crores తీయలేరు కదా. Will you decide what is the like demand
మార్కెట్
supply
ప్రైస్ ఇస్
rate?
మై క్వశ్చన్. అంటే ఇప్పుడు నేను 10 years బ్యాక్ ఒక ఎకరం కొన్నా, బట్ నౌ దట్ సేమ్ ఎకరం కాస్ట్ ఇస్ లైక్ ఎక్స్ట్రీమ్లీ లైక్ వాలటైల్, అండ్ ఐమ్ pretty much there is no standard body out there that is selling you have to sell this. There is no maximum retail price for land as far as I know. So when the market rate is, for example, Kokapetlo, I have heard that like 1 acre is going for 100 crores or whatever. Madlo china, like it came an article. So when land is being acquired, definitely it's an unfair point on the guy who is owning 1 acre of land in Kokapet is my point. And does this act provide any legal assistance to give them a better financial payback is my question.
So the act will consider all those. Imagine, all I'm saying is when they're calculating the compensation, right? They will calculate based on minimum land value that is, specified for that area under the Stamp Act కింద.
Got it.
On which the registration fee is calculated. State లో ఎంత అని ఉంటది. లేదా ఆ చుట్టుపక్కల సేమ్ వాల్యూ ఏరియా, అంటే ఇప్పుడు ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ అగ్రికల్చరల్ ల్యాండ్, మల్టీ క్రాప్ అగ్రికల్చర్ ల్యాండ్ ఉందనుకోండి. చుట్టుపక్కల ఉన్న మల్టీ క్రాప్ అగ్రికల్చరల్ ల్యాండ్ లో లాస్ట్ 3 years లో ఎంతైతే ప్రైస్ పలుకుతుందో దానికి యావరేజ్ తీసి అంత కాంపెన్సేషన్ లో ఇస్తారు. అలా అన్నా ఇవ్వచ్చు. And there is one more point. Wait, I'm exactly finding the section to find the third one.
You have last 5 minutes.
Yeah,
Ashwara.
last 2 minutes. After this answer, let's wrap.
Okay. Or the average sale price for similar type of land situated in the nearest village or nearest vicinity area. That is the second one we heard. Third is how much ever the company, the private entity or the government and these parties will talk of as the compensation, that much, whichever is the highest of these three. A market value meede base avvalan ledu.
Got it.
Imagine the government says, asalu people are not at all giving land. They says we'll give 2 times and చెప్పి you and the government spoke, or you and the private entity. The government, if it is only a private project, and if the government entity is the middle one procuring land, if they say 2 times of market value we will give, then 2 times they will compensate. Whichever is the highest of these 3 options, that much will be decided on, and that will be declared as compensation. Other than this, the government, in a term, the government will see దాని మీద ఏమైనా స్ట్రక్చర్స్ అవి ఉన్నాయి అనుకోండి. If there is a crop on it, or if there is like a building or a shed or anything, it will give compensation for that also. And additionally, there are also other things that will be added as part of compensation. If people are being displaced to a separate area, one time transportation cost 50,000 ఇస్తారు.
Okay.
And then if they have cattle or anything, they'll give shed అది కట్టుకోవడానికి another 50,000, which is also differing for the state of Telangana. Give me a minute, I'll actually share the screen.
I'll
The
buy
prices are
when I'm shifting. I'll say I'll have cattle. Numerous ways to scan. So what's happening at Dharavi, for example, it is something similar. Like it's land.
Oh my God, you just missed the entire conversation about it. We were talking about it in such explicit detail.
You really live చూసుకుంటా. It's fine. You don't have to answer it. I'll watch it later.
Details, they gave like Telangana, no, it is, yeah, just a minute, got it. Yep, can you see? So this is imagine there is a house on it. And imagine that somebody's house is there. Then like the compensation, the amount of compensation is there in the 4th column. Ante enta varaku istadi Telangana ani cheppi. The 2013 Act is a little different. Adi annintiki kalipi okela ichesindi. But Telanganalo they changed. And they like increased the value and all. If somebody is losing their house, Indira Awas Yojana kinda they'll be given another house ani. And then ఎంప్లాయ్మెంట్ ఏదైనా పోయింది అంటే 1 time 5 lakhs ఇస్తారు, లేదా 3,000 per month కింద 20 years దాకా ఇస్తారు. So these are all the additional things that will be given on top of the market value and on top of the value for the structures that are there on the land.
Market value రాదురా.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
the gist.
Yeah. It's bad luck,
Even
basically.
in
That's it.
Indira,
Yeah.
yeah, even in Indira Awas
My
Yojana and all, they don't.
one of my friends were like, this fellow, one of my colleague, okay. So ORR ఉంది కదా ORR లో ఎంటర్ అవ్వగానే one road goes to the left to the airport, one goes right. Do you know that
Yeah,
junction?
I know
Like
what you're
once you
talking
enter
about.
to
Yes,
the
yes,
airport,
yes.
in that like V junction, in between that land is this.
Oh, wow. And
There's
he did not
one.
give it up.
No, they gave. I mean, they took.
Hmm.
So these
Okay.
guys went to for compensation. They went to court, Supreme Court law on the case.
Oh,
You know
okay.
what? How much they're fighting for? 250 crores.
And how is that case building?
Government compensation
And
ఎంత
he's in our
11
office
lakhs
only, by the way, that boy.
ఏంటి?
I'm telling you somebody's story who is working in our office.
Oh my God. దాని ఎంత చెప్పారు వాల్యూ?
ఇట్లా చెప్పారంటే obviously అంత ఉంటుండదు కదా, but these days are
Yeah,
fighting. Now, today also it seems there's one room in between and there are like trees around it.
Oh my God, and then the two roads.
ఎంప్లాయీస్ అని
చూపిస్తాలే వచ్చినప్పుడు లైవ్ లేదు.
Oh,
Contempt
okay.
of court అయితే.
Yeah,
I'm a
People
legal law
actually do
operating
that.
citizen of the country.
that's crazy.
What?
When they built in Maharashtra also, when they built this Samruddhi Road, so it is from Nagpur to Bombay. Okay. So they acquired a lot of land. Like imagine whole of the Maharashtra. So they acquired a lot of land. So on the land wherein there are some structure built or like houses are there, because you could get extra compensation or you would get a house or something, people just built like 4 walls and like one tin shed on top of it. Or they planted mango saplings to show that okay, we are cultivating mangoes here and all of that. And they actually
Okay.
got 4 times the price because agricultural land, not that high priced or something.
big scam this is.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering whose beautiful piece of land this is between those two roads.
Bro,
And who's fighting it in Supreme Court?
And why is it valued 250 crores?
Yeah.
అంత పెద్ద land ఆ?
2-3 acres ఉంటుంటారు.
Oh, okay.
అంటే అసలు శ్రీమంతుడులా నిండు చంద్రుడు మండు సైకిల్ తోకుంటూ వచ్చేసి ఆఫీస్.
Nice.
Yes, that's it. Any other questions? Are we have anything?
No, I think, does anybody have any other questions, guys?
Not from my side.
Okay.
For a moment, I
Surendra.
thought Aishwarya was getting angry at me. I'm like, what is it? Why is it unfair? Why is it unfair?
You don't say the tax, no, you also didn't say the tax.
I'm like, again, లేదు land అనుకున్నాను.
Surendra, are you still on the call? Okay, no. Preeti, you're on the call, right?
Yeah.
Are we still live on YouTube or has that ended?
Yes,
Because some of my
no.
friends were texting me that we're not live anymore.
We are live.
Oh, we are live. Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah.
Great. So how does this, I think we are good to end the call now. Thank you so much, everybody, for participating on this call. Thank you so much, Satvik, for joining. Thank you so much, Aishwarya. Thank you so much, Rutuja. And thank you so much, Pratyush.
Thank you.
anytime.
Thank you guys for your time, for valuable time. Deeply appreciate and hope you learned something.
I just
This
feel
session has been particularly very interesting.
I mean, the technical difficulties our team would have learned at least now how to like do it better next time. In Instagram, the video is vertical.
Ade, చూసాను.
Like,
Even I tried to
yeah,
fix it, it was not happening.
yeah, that's like very sad. And also in like YouTube also,
The grid.
yeah, the grid like is gone. You can only see one person. Nobody.
Somebody also commented, next time live చేసే ముందు please give us a heads up.
ముందు చెప్పండి రెడీ అవుతామంట.
Yeah.
ఓకే షూర్ వి విల్ డూ దట్ డెఫినెట్లీ. ఐశ్వర్య అయితే మాట్లాడుతుందో ఒక్కటే మాట్లాడుతున్నట్టుంది, ఎవరితో మాట్లాడుతుందో యూట్యూబ్ లో కాంటెక్స్ట్ అర్థం కావట్లేదు.
Starting right now.
Like there's one document and she's talking.
Going at it, is it?
Just on a Sunday, this girl is talking about
Eminent domain.
sharing
అది
one
కూడా
document.
అది కూడా
She's
eminent
so
domain.
bored.
ఆ Latin terms
She's so bored that she made
Tellus
one
populi
document.
supreme
She's
lexis తో
talking. Eminent domain and sorry.
According to the Constitution.
And there is one viewer. Okay. Like watching. Seriously, I really want to meet that person.
No, that's how you know
Make it-
loyal followers.
Yeah,
People
then
who would
they'll be
watch like
chatting
this.
with Aishwarya, like, hi.
Yeah, I please respond.
లైవ్ చాట్ ఈ టీవీ9 ఎన్టీవీ లైవ్ చాట్స్ అన్ని అట్లనే ఉంటాయి.
Yeah, that's
అక్కడేమో
crazy.
మొత్తం దేశం దాగబడుతుంది అని
తగలబడుతుంది, ఇక్కడ
చూస్తుంటే
హాయ్
సైడ్కి
తిన్నావా,
హాయ్
వాళ్ళు
తిన్నావా
వాళ్ళే చాట్ చేసుకుంటుంటారు, హాయ్
శృతి
తిన్నావా, ఏం చేస్తున్నావు
ఏంటి
అని.
రిప్లై చేయట్లేదు.
అరాచకం అసలు. లంచ్ టైంలో పక్కన టీవీ9 లో.
That's exactly why I sit and watch. It's too funny.
And then they'll have emotions also in the live chat, They'll be like, see, you're answering to Shiva. You're not telling me to
Yeah.
wait. Why are you
ఒక
not
రోజు
telling me?
అవుట్ ఆఫ్ క్యూరియాసిటీ అండ్ ఫ్రస్ట్రేషన్ సురేందర్ కూడా వేసాడు మధ్యలో 2 మెసేజెస్ ఆ లైవ్ చాట్ లో వాళ్ళకి, బట్ దే డి నాట్ డెలివర్. ఐ థింక్ ఎక్కువ లైక్ పీపుల్ ఆర్ లైక్ incessantly
Emotion,
commenting
you
again
need
and
to like
again
connect,
and like going
like
on the top.
heart to heart connection. If you have, then they like publish those messages.
There'll be happy birthday messages.
హ్యాపీ బర్త్డే ఉండదు, తిన్నావా
హ్యాపీ బర్త్డే
అని
ఇస్
అడుగుతాడు
వెరీ
వాడు.
మెలో, దట్స్ వెరీ
చాలా
తిన్నావా?
డీప్ వాడు, చాలా
డీప్
డీప్ గా
కాన్వర్సేషన్స్
మాట్లాడతాడు.
జరుగుతాయి.
ఏంటి
చాలా deep.
మీ ఇంటి దగ్గర ఏం జరుగుతుంది అంటాడు. అరే ఎక్కడుందో ఎట్లా తెలుసురా నీకు, మీ ఇంటి దగ్గర ఏం జరుగుతుంది అంటారు. మాదాపూర్ అంటారు. అసలు ఫేక్ ప్రొఫైలా నిజం ప్రొఫైలా ఎవరు తెలియదు.
Yeah.
అమ్మాయి అనుకోని వాడు చాట్ చేసిస్తూ ఉంటాడు, మొత్తం వాడు లైఫ్ హిస్టరీ చెప్తుంటాడు. మాకు ఇద్దరు కజిన్స్ ఉన్నారు, మా అత్తమ్మ విద్యానగర్లో ఉంటుంది కదా. ఇవన్నీ ఎందుకు రా లైవ్ చాట్ లో.
కరువు వస్తే కుచ్ బి.
ఓకే, సో సీ యూ గైస్, థ్యాంక్ యూ.
Thank you so much everyone.
Let's
See
meet
you
in the
all.
next call sometime.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you, bye.
Bye everybody.